Hello there. Today we'll be looking at one of the gesture templates you can use to set up gestures on your avatar. This one is more specialized towards if you want to animate your ears with the gestures, or maybe drive like activating dynamic bones in your tongue when you blep. If you just want to drive blend shapes, there are probably easier tools like the tools found in the JP tools. Would recommend that one. Otherwise, there we go. This is one template you can use. It's a modular system, which means you can swap out the controller that drives the main gesture template. How it does this is there's two variables that link them together. Both the quest controller and the index controller output the same integer values for the same gesture. That way, once it reaches here, it's standardized and it will export the same. So a 7 will always be a fist on both controllers. And it will drive the fist one. So 7 for fist. There's 7 there. It goes down, and this is where we'll attach our blend shape later on. All these templates use Yuki's red prints. I'll also put a link into their public for their public folder in the description of the video. And all these three are also found in my public folder, which I'll also put a link for in YouTube. So the first thing, I'll put timestamps in the video so you can skip through each part based on what you want to watch. But the first part, I'm just going to go over the overview on roughly how this works. If you are totally new to Logix, I would recommend going watch a beginner's guide to the basics of Logix. Prime's channel is a good one for that. I'll also put a link in the description for that one. Right, so to the Quest 2, basically it's just looking at the buttons, which are the same buttons on VRChat's Quest 2 gesturing system, so it makes it a bit easier. So it takes the combination of buttons you can press, and then this wonderful compose bits to bytes, which is a magic node. It takes all these different combinations and turns them into a unique number. Now this unique number we're then matching with known combinations that make the gestures we want, and then that exports our integer that we use for the gesture system. The index one is a lot messier. I try not to look at it, but it's measuring bone rotations. Index controller, please. I'm trying to do rock out. We'll do peace sign. It measures that these two or three fingers are closed. These two are up. So those bulls would go to here, or true and false values. And they're also outputting unique numbers based on what combination of fingers I've got down. Matching that against a known combination of the gestures we want, and then exporting that integer to the same system through a variable which I'll install in the next part. So now looking on to this part, we've got our two variables there, gesture left hand, right hand. The notes for what each one is, well, the numbers for the integers. So these correspond to the outputs on these two demultiplexers. So let's look at 7, which is fist, for example. If we go down to the bottom, we could see it says value output 7. And if we follow that down, it goes to this end value. Now this one that goes up, this is checking that the other hand isn't gesturing. So this system, if you've got a totally different gesture over here, it will block it out. So that way you're not accidentally gesturing when you don't want to, and we're not accidentally blending gestures that we don't want to blend. You can still blend gestures with this center one. This is for doing like both gestures at the same time, which is normal on the VRChat side, which is what this is trying to replicate, so it's easier to pick up. So we're taking that true false value, turning it into a 0, 1, because that's what a blend shape is. It's 0 to 1. Then the smooth lerp is just animating it so it's not instantly snapping to it. The next part over here is for the ears. It's preset up here for you to enter in what gestures you want to animate the ears. Not all the gestures you have you might not want all the gestures you have to drive the ears, for example, so they're not pre-connected to all of them. They're just here for your convenience. You can delete them if you don't need to animate the ears, or you want to do it a totally different way. That's perfectly fine. Alright, so the next step I'll be doing 3 gestures onto our Nardo Dragon friend over here, and then after we've done that, I'll have a quick overview on something that's a little more complex with an avatar that requires like 3 blend shapes just to pull one expression. It's really annoying. Right, okay, so we will start with, we're going to try, let's do the sad face first. So to start with, we're going to have to go to the public folder, spawn out a red print. This is Yuki's public folder, which I'll have a link for. There's a red print folder, and then there's red print 1.3. We'll need to spawn that out. I've already got one spawned here, which I'll be using, and I will be duplicating them as I go. So we've already got one here. The next step is the gesture templates, modular systems. Right, so I've got index. So I'm going to be starting with the index template, and then I'll be spawning out the main gesture output, which is where all our blend shapes and that sort of stuff will live. Right, so to put these on a red print, I recommend dragging it out a bit, like this, and we simply just walk up and drop it, and now it's looks like the ones at the back. Like that. Move this back again, and now we grab our Nardo Dragon. We'll grab the inspector, inspect. Alright, so I'm going to go to the root of the Nardo Dragon, and I'm going to make some new slots or folders. So I'm going to call this one Logix Systems, and I'm going to put all the Logix that I ever put on this avatar under here. Logix Systems. And then I'm going to put another one under that, and I'm just going to call this one Gestures. Right. Now, this automatically gets the active user, so we don't have to type in a username or anything. This will just work as soon as it's dropped into here. To do that, we side grip with the dev tool, and we've got the slot here, and we'll be dropping it just here. So that's, and then we can just go to I tick parent red print to target slots. That way when you pull it back out, it will still be, this will still work if you're in the avatar. So that way you can actually test while in the avatar. Helpful in front of a mirror. Before we do that, almost missed a step, we need to do the variables that we'll be driving. So I'm going to put these on the Logix system at the top. Actually, I could just put it, we'll just put it here under gestures. Right, so to start with, we're going to need a dynamic variable space. And I'm going to, where did I put this? This has got the names we want. It's not going to let me do that unless I expand this out, and then I can actually just grab these, and this will be much easier. because I'm lazy. Then we'll be adding 2 more components, one for the left hand and one for the right hand. So these components will be the actual dynamic variables themselves. So data, dynamic, and then dynamic value variable. And they're integers. I'm going to duplicate that. And then these ones, I'm just going to, with the grip button, grip these. Put one here. And for the right one, oh no, I've moved it. Drop that there. And hopefully I can drop this back so it snaps. Yep. That is done. Now to link these, we're going to be driving them directly. So to do that, first we're going to have to pull out the interface cards. So I'm just going to grab this with the side grip again on the heading, and then the secondary button, which is the touch button on index controllers. Okay. I am used to a multi-tool. We'll have to swap to the Logix tooltip. Then it is the secondary button, and there is our interface card. And that is for the left hand, I'm pretty sure I dragged out. So we're going to grab the integer here and drag it straight over to variable. There's the left hand, which is the left hand there. That's now driving that. The next one is the right one, so we have to drag that one like that, and then we're going to drag it like that. And now both of these are driven. Okay, so now that we've got those, we can now pack this away, making sure we've got the gesture slot selected, and then we go pack to. It'll all disappear, and we'll notice our gesture, that template is now neatly packed away, and I forgot to name it at the top. So I'm just going to quickly name it here so we know what it is. Index input. Right. Now, with the inspector, dev tooltip, I'm going to grab this again. I'm going to put it here, and I'm going to export it back out. And the reason for this is so we could hop in this avatar and test the gestures each time, but it's a lot easier to be like looking at it, and then we just pull the gestures on our current avatar we're wearing, and we can watch what happens in real time. Now, there are 2 nodes to help us from this. These nodes are in the Logix tooltip, and it's under users, and we've got 2 here. We've got the host user and user from username. If you are in a world that isn't yours, someone else is hosting, you'll have to use this node. This node, you type in your username, and then this pipes out to this node here. But because I am the host of this session, I'm just going to use this one, and I'm going to disconnect, get active user, and whack in the host user. Now, you must make sure that once you're done, this has to be swapped back to get active user. If you leave it on host user, you join another session and someone else will be controlling your gestures. But now, if we go to the gestures, we'll see that there's 0. If I do finger gun, this finger rock out, it's now 5. Fist was 7, 7. So now we can control the gestures of this avatar without actually being in it, and we can watch the changes. Now that, instead of repacking that away, I'm just going to move it back a bit so it's out of the way. And then I'm going to deselect so it gets rid of all those. And I'll move these as well. There we go. Right. So I'm going to grab another red print. Duplicate. Helpful tip, turn off snapping when you don't want to use this anymore. It will stop stuff flying to it. So, same thing, we're going to stretch this out. And then just drop this in. Yeah, we'll just drop it in. And this time I'm going to name it straight away. We'll just call this gestures. Logix. So that way when we pack it away, it'll be named. Right. So this is already linked and... Oh, no it isn't. That's a lie. First, we need to pack it away. OVR, please. So I'm going to grab the gestures, whack it there. Make sure parent red print to target slot is ticked. We're going to pack it to, then we're going to I wonder why I did that. Anyway, gesture Logix, go here, we're going to go unpack. What just happened there? Anyway. Oh, I see. I'll just name it up there. Whatever. While I'm looking at it, because now I... Sorry for the cutaway. Okay, that was a cut. This was still named the other, the original red print name. I just went up here and renamed it so it matches there. Right, so we're going to, now that it's unpacked, we've unpacked it after packing it with the parent to target slot. So now this template will also be active. So there's fist, rock out. So this is now real time, I guess. So if we click on this one and I make a fist, it goes up and there's one for our blend shape that will drive. Alright, so the first one, first we'll do the blend shape and then we'll do the ears. So for sad, it is 2 fists. So if it is all, if fist is on the bottom, which it should be, this one should be both fists. So that's the node we'll be working with. Now we'll swap to our dev tooltip, shoot the Nardo, and we want to find the body slot. Generally, all the blend shapes you'll want are in the body slot. And we're looking for sad. And we can adjust this and watch in real time. Is that the sad? Yes. So that's the blend shape we want. We'll swap back to our Logix tooltip. Now, because we're going to be pulling out blend shapes, we want to swap to something called extract drive node. This is explained more in more Logix-oriented tutorials. But yeah, swap to the drive node, grab sad, and then it is the secondary button again, and this is our little drive node. And then we're going to fly, and we'll put it just here. And then we'll link it. We do not, whoopsie daisy. We do not need this anymore. And now, if I make two fists, they're sad. And we can see that animating just here. But now, what sells it for this is the ears lower on the Nardo Dragon when they are sad. So, to do that, we're going to go back. Actually, instead of doing that, I'm going to leave this on the blend shape page. I'll keep that just in the back when we want to pack stuff again. I'm going to open another inspector. Straight at the head, we're already there. So, it's both ears, isn't it? Yes. So this avatar, the dynamic bones is started on the one below. So when you add dynamic bones, you'll notice that the rotation and that will lock, because now they're driven by the wiggles. To get around that, if your avatar, the ear root, is the start of the dynamic bones, you can use the what's the actual technical term? The up arrow. And it will make a slot above it. Now when this happens, your ears might invert or go wonky, and that's just because the rotation has been reset. Because if we look at the ear root, it comes with a rotation just to make it look right. If it does that, don't worry. So for example, if I did it on this one, it barely changes that much. But to fix that, all we do is double click it, and then you stick your head in the noggin, click on rotate. Did I hit the right one? Yes. And then we would just rotate it back around until it gets to the right location. But with the Nardo Dragon, we don't have to do that, so I'm going to move it back up and get rid of this one. So we're going to work on the ears here. The first step, so this node here, this is the resting pose for the ears. So we're taking index of first match, which when we drag out, I should have added this little bit here into the... But basically, when one of these true inputs are true, we want it to output true. And that will output up to here. So when this is false, so this isn't matching anything, we've got no gestures coming through, it will output our resting pose, so the ears are natural, which gets fed to the rotation to the ears. The index of the first match, what it's doing, so the fists one will be our first ear gesture, I guess. We'll pump this straight into number 1, or number 0 to be exact. So now number 0, which is now an integer into this multiplex, there is a number 0 here. And this one will now be the rotations for the number 0 gesture. So number 0 comes in here, which will output a 0 on the integer. The multiplexer looks, oh, I need 0, and it's going to use the 0 ear one. And because this is now outputting a match, this will now set to true, which means the output of our multiplexer will go through and animate the ears. I hope I explained that well. Right, so we're going to grab our resting ear root position and set that up. It's important to do this before you connect the ears, because as soon as you connect the ears, it'll go to 0, And now on this avatar, I know for a fact that the rotations are the same on both ears. It's best to double check that before you just drag them in. Right. Now, I will connect the ears. And to do that, with the Logix tooltip, we want to switch to an interface, and we want to grab the, if I just position, I want rotation. I'm pretty sure it will pull out the whole, yep. That's a thing. So this is for the left ear, which is down the bottom. We're grabbing the rotation, and we're going to put it into rotation. And if it's right, the ear will not move. I don't think it did. We'll do the one for the right. Right. Yep. Rotation and secondary gets us this, and rotation. Alright, so that is sorted. When I said that they were the same rotations per side, I was completely wrong. They are different rotation. So yes, you'll have to, right ear has different rotations that we will copy into here. There we go. That's why I've got that back up. Right, now I will reconnect them. Just clear these out quickly so it's like we're starting again. Alright, so ear root. I've grabbed the same tool. What am I doing? There we go. Ear root. This is the left one, which is down here. Rotation. And then we're going to go to the right one. And same thing. And the ears do not implode because the rotations were right. So that is resting it. Okay. That was a cut because I accidentally deleted the Nardo and it just kind of stuffed everything up. Make regular world saves, would recommend. Okay, so I've set everything up to where we were. Ears are done. Okay, so we want to replicate. We've got, oh yeah, we've got our sad boy. We want to lower the ears. Now, I recommend pulling out another version of the avatar. Then you can play with the ear rotations on this one, find the values you like, then copy the values onto the working one we've got. So the first thing I'm going to do is, I'm going to connect, I think I already did this, but I'm going to connect the fists into the first one, and I'm going to do this on both ears, because these, no they're not. I should put this in the middle. That affects both ears. So this will be, there we go. As explained before, that's the value we want to push through when one of these matches. So this is on 0. So 0 will be our sad ears. So we're going to go up to the multiplex and we're going to drag out our 0. And this is for the right ear. And we're going to go down here and do the same for our left ear. Right. So now we're going to go get those values from our test subject. Straight on the head. to select it's the secondary button, and then you can open an inspector and it will take you straight there. Deselect. Alright, so let's start with the right ear. So going to go to the ear root, stick your head in the noggin. Right, so it's like tilted back a bit. Not that much. Maybe rotate it a little bit like this. Alright, let's try that. So we'll copy. So this is for the right ear. There's probably a really smart way to like take the difference and do the exact same rotation on the other ear, but I'm just going to do it by hand. So now that we've done that, multiplexer. Oh, it's resetting to 0. I was like, why is it doing that? But that one's lowering. It's because we haven't done a value on the other one. So we'll go in here and we'll lower that one. That was a little bit like this. Yep. I'm just going to do this really quickly. So now when we go sad, they get lower. And for this tutorial, that is close enough for that. You could fine tune. I think that one's a little bit higher. But that looks sad to me. Right, so that is the first one. The next one we'll do, so that covers the ears, but what happens if we want to toggle something on, like, say, the dynamic bones on a tongue? So let's do the blep next. And I didn't get the picture for the blep. Genius. Alright, round 3. Didn't even bring in the blep pictures, but the next we're going to do is we're going to do 2 bleps. So that way I can show you what happens if you've got to share a blend shape between 2 gestures. So the first one we'll do is just a blep, which is the right hand. It's just a thumbs up. So first we will go to the inspector we had that had all of our blend shapes, and we're going to look for blep. There's blep. And there's the blep. Then we're going to make sure that we're in extract drive node, grab our blep, and there's the blep. Now, yes, it is, it's in a mirror though. I'm doubting myself. When in doubt, it's the right, no, it is the left. Right, it is the left hand down the bottom. And it is the thumbs up. So thumbs up is number 2. So the first ones are ignored on index and quest. It's just when you're resting your thumbs. So number 2 is thumbs up. Remember, it starts from 0. So number 2 is actually here, and it will be the top one. Alright. So now we should have a blep on our left hand. Done. Now, the problem is, it's not wiggly, and we would like it to be wiggly. So, on our head, I'm going to grab our tongue, and it's got multiple tongues under it. So we can add our physics, dynamic bones, dynamic bone chain, and we're just going to do setup from children. So now, when we blep, it's wiggly, very wiggly. But the problem is, that is now active all the time. So if I actually shake this hard, you can see the tongue actually comes out from under the mouth. And even with that adjusted a bit, if you move your head enough, it still comes out of the mouth. So we only want this to come on when we actually gesture the blep. And that is very simple because we've already got true and false values. So all we're going to do with the blep, so you see this node has an enabled. So if I untick that, it's no longer dynamic. So we just need to hook this value into the rest of it. So we're going to switch back to interface. We're going to grab this and make a little room because this one is big. And we want enabled. And all we're going to do is grab it, the true and false value from here. So this is after it's been conditioned to make sure that nothing else is being pressed. Going to grab that one, and we're just going to drop it straight into enabled. And I'm going to push it. I'm just going to leave it. Hang on, if I do this, it will be a little neater. Right, so now it's not dynamic, but when I blep, it is. And now it's turned off, and we can actually see that up there. Oh. And I'm just going to quickly do so close enough. Again, you would fine-tune this more on your own avatar. Once that, okay, so that's the tongue. Now, what happens if we've got two gestures that need the same access to the same blend shape? Like this, I guess it's a, well, let's have a look. Smug blep. So we've got smug, which is the eyes half closed. Right, so smug is 2 thumbs up. So we'll go back to extract drive node, grab smug, and 2 bleps. So 2 thumbs up. The thumbs up is the top one, which we know from doing that one. So I'm just going to drop this one straight here. Get rid of this one. And now we've got our smug, but we want the blep. Now, the blep is just is a true and false. No, that's the dynamic bones. I'm lost. So this is the node we need to share. So to do that, I'm going to use just a plus. Because only one gesture can be active at a time, we don't have to worry about one being stacked on top of the other one and overdriving the value. We can just plus them together, which is not maths, it's an operator. And then this one is also going to drive this too. And might move that forward a bit, and I'll attempt to make this neater and fail. So now we'll have a blep and a double blep. And though when we double blep, we've also got to enable the dynamic bone. So this one we can just use an OR because we're dealing with bools. We will go OR, So this one into there. If I move this one up here, and let's put that on the bottom one, that makes more sense. And then this one into the other one. The OR is if any of them are true, it'll pass the true through. And we're going to plug it into there. So now, if just the normal one's true, but if I also go smug blep, it's still dynamic. Right, now to wrap this up, I will quickly do the ear animations for that gesture as well, because they're very subtle. It's like a gentle ear tilt back. So I'm just going to spawn out another one of these. So what was that one? That way the ears are... I didn't need to spawn out another one. I was going to... I don't know what... Okay, so... And it's just a gentle tilt. It's like... Yeah, it's just a gentle tilt ear back. Like that. And then we'll go right. Gentle tilt back. And like that. Alright. Right ear root. So, because these gestures are also the same, like they're going to share the same ear position pretty much. So instead of taking up another, like taking up two of these, I'm just going to hijack the dynamic, the blep one. Just be aware, doing this, if you activate the tongue on any of the other things, the ears will be following the tongue now. That's what they'll be linked to. Hello tracking. So now whenever those two gestures are used, which activates this OR, it will drive the tongue, and it will also activate number 1 on these two multiplexers, which we will now drag out our our ear rotations. And inspector right ears on the top. And left is down the bottom. And now we should just get a, just a gentle ear tilt, it's like, which works much better with the smug one. Alright. So that's the basics. You would now continue on with doing the rest of the gestures. I'm now going to show you how to pack this, and then we'll have a look at that monster over there. So this is right to just pack straight away. The only so it's null at the moment. We're going to go over here, and we're going to go to their gesture system and put that there. And we're going to pack it away. Alright, so we're now going to, I just had it where it deleted where it was parented to, so it doesn't do it. I'm just going to make another one and call this the actual gesture system. And I will put it in here instead. parent. Might have been I parented it wrong. Okay, it hasn't disappeared this time. Okay, there we go. It got upset when I didn't. I tried to pack it straight back into here. Wonder if that will do the same. Alright. So that's that. Yes, back to this. So now we're going to remember to get rid of the host, because at the moment the host is the one controlling that. We're going to disconnect that, delete the node, connect skit self active, so that way the person in the avatar is the one that's actually doing. And we're going to grab the gestures, drop it there, and then we're going to pack it away. And that time it worked. It's probably because I tried to pack it directly into here instead of selecting gestures again to pack to. So that that cut before was my mistake, and I didn't need to do this. It's done now. It's unneat now. There we go. So it's not working anymore. Hop into it. I really need to change the dynamics on that tongue. And the other one we did was fists. Can't believe you've done this. Save avatar. And pretty much if you want to change any of your gestures or any of that stuff, pull out a reb print again. And grab the gesture system, drop it there, unpack. That's why it went null. And then when you make your changes, grab the folder it lives in, drag it back, and then go to pack 2. And that will work as expected. Right. And that is exactly the same with if you change controllers or you want it to work with a quest. All you would do is delete the index input, then pull out the quest one, redo the values, so reconnect the values here, and pack it away, and it will just work with the new controllers. So now we will look at another model. This model requires multiple blend shapes just to do one expression. It's really fun. So we can connect 2 nodes to one if it's simple, but some of them, so I'm trying to remember which it would be easier to hop into it. Hello, nose. Oh, I'm cross-eyed. So this one, the eyes squint to halfway, and it's got this little smile to it. And that is just here. So we're actually using that half squint twice, which is just this or. So if either of these go off, it will drive I think it is. Can't name. You've got a special name that I can't remember, but basically false, it's 0, so it goes down to 0. And on true, it'll go to half, and then it gets smooth lerped, which smooths it, and then it gets outputted to our squint. The additions are for when we've got multiple, so this is one blend shape, and I'll show you a trick that I was shown to figure out what this is. Click on it, go to Open Inspector, click the up, double click driver, and it's the smile, so that little smirk. It's used multiple times, and because only one gesture can be activated at once, we say this one gets activated, 1 plus 0 is still 1, so it doesn't get overdriven. Right. And I think I have covered at least the bare basics. If you've got any questions, do not hesitate to ask. And if required, I guess I can make a follow-up video if I did a terrible job with this one. Thank you for watching, and happy blepping.